your door knocks based on what time you have to be at your appointment, which is pretty cool.
Oh, it does?
Mhm.
I didn't know that. I just put it. I just put them
What
in
is
there.
that?
Road warrior.
So if you put, I have an appointment at 4 in Ellenwood, and you leave right now, and you get optimized, it will route all the door knocks to get you to your appointment by
What?
4 o'clock.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you, where do you put the 4 o'clock at?
On that appointment. So when you put that address in, yeah, then you could set the time. I never knew it did that. I know you could set an appointment for that address, but I didn't know if you do optimize it, routes it, and let you
It
go.
routes it and let you get to your appointment.
Because
at the
I
time.
always, when I run it, I just take the address into Google Maps and run it that way. But I'll try that. So if you have further questions on how to do that, Vin will be your contact person. Our tech specialist. Yeah, of course, you volunteered yourself. Felipe, what's up?
So as a part-time, how many should we do,
Appointments?
on a weekly basis?
On a week, 15 appointments weekly, part-time. Good question.
Part-time?
Yeah, 15 appointments
And
weekly.
in an average, those door knocking, how many, normally might say, yes, let's do it right now, or no, it's like an appointment.
It varies.
Or
I don't have an
How many
average.
will you close,
Yeah.
it all depends.
I know if I door knock them in their home, I'm booking an appointment probably 95% of the time. Yeah. So if they're home and I'm booking an appointment, whether it's an immediate appointment or it's later on appointment, if they're home and I door knock them, then I'm booking an appointment. I think people are more pleasant face to face, and then when they see you're a real person and not some telemarketer, which is typically what they think by they don't answer the phone or they hang up on you, then they're more, oh yes, I do need help with that, and yeah, you can come in now, or yeah, later today would be fine, or yeah, Saturday, yeah, I'll be home from this time to this time, and I can book a time. So that's what I've seen for me personally. Maybe I'm just that good looking.
You
That's
are.
what I'm saying.
So if
No,
you get,
let's. I like that stuff. Chill. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
so if we get to close, half of those appointments or 1/3, we superstar.
Say again?
If we get to close, half of those appointments or 1/3, we superstar.
Yeah, you're a superstar. Absolutely. You got it, man. Robert, what's up? Yeah.
But I just took the whole afternoon, and it's actually fun.
Yeah.
I actually go out and I got close up here for
Yeah, just door knocking. Yeah. So if you've got a stack of leads, and that's the thing, you'll have leads sometimes I don't pick up. I've had those days where it's like, man, I'm down, like, man, what's going on? And it's like, all right, I guess I got to do a bunch of door knocking tomorrow because I don't have enough appointments. So that's when I pull out the Road Warrior. And it's a great, I actually enjoy it. Sometimes I want to talk to people on the phone. Are we still live? I'm sorry. And I'd rather have a conversation face to face. So, I'm like, all right, let's go. No, you can keep it live. I'm playing. It is time consuming, and it's a lot easier when you have appointments scheduled to go from appointment to appointment. When you have, someone is guaranteed to be home or more likely to be home, opposed to just like a blind shot and a door knock. So don't strive to be the door knocking king.
Right.
I mean, I know there's some companies that make good income there, and it all depends on how much you're trying to make too. I mean, at the level that I need to produce to be able to cover my business costs and my household costs, I need booked appointments because they're guaranteed. To get me
It's
in front
good
of
for
people.
those gaps.
It's good. That's it. Door knocking should be more of a gap filler, and if you've got plenty of gaps, then you're gonna get good at door knocking, or get better on the phone, or get more leads, so that way you could more leads, right? So, hey Sam.
One thing I learned from our master door knocking underwriter, Louis Lopes, is that he door knocks.
Yeah.
9 out of 10 he's going into the house now.
Yeah.
He
That's
says,
fine.
because she's there, or he's there, or he's there, whatever, they're both there. So this is going to take 10 minutes. Would you like to do this right here on the porch, or you want to do that inside?
Yeah, that's
Most of-
something right
That's
there.
how he actually ends with.
Yeah.
And 9 out of 10 times, and I would win with him.
Yeah.
They say, oh, come on in. And
That's a good point too. Yeah, if you could be more assumptive with the appointment, and using my same script, the phone script, and at the end, instead of saying, hey, I've got 10 minutes, an hour later, it's like, hey, I've got 10 minutes. Is this going to be inside or outside? Pretty much.
Yeah,
Hey,
exactly.
on the porch, or are we going inside the table? And they'll tell you, And so that's a good point. Incorporate all of those, man. And it's at the end of the day, it's your business. The way I view it, granted, leads are a tax write-off and it's a numbers game and all that, but I like to maximize my return on investment as much as possible. So if you've got some white space in your calendar, don't be sitting at home wondering why these people aren't picking up the phone and complaining, oh man, I had 30 leads, only 2 appointments booked. And no, they fill out the form, go see them and book your appointments face to face.
At what point do you consider a lead resolved? You've done everything.
When they tell me no to my face.
At the door.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a resolved lead. Yeah, until then, it's not resolved because they haven't seen this charming face to say. Leticia, get out. All right, so that's door knocking in a nutshell. Any questions on that?
In home, baby.
In home time. All right, so, yes. Oh, okay. I'm like, you echoed off the one.
Don't do that.
But don't give up on your leads because sometimes you'll get a lead this week, but you may not sell them until next month.
Yeah.
Now, just keep,
Yep.
keep them in the circulation.
And then give them to other agents, too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You can do
Swaps with
you can do
agents.
lead swaps with other agents because we all have a bunch of leads, a stack of leads that we haven't been able to get to answer the phone, and we might not either have taken the initiative to door knock, or we've had plenty of appointments if we're ordering enough leads where we don't have time to door knock, which is a challenge I have. The way I overcome that is I've got other agents that I've hired that I can say, hey, try, take a stab at these, and they're able to call them, and then some reason they answer their phone and they go and sell them the policy, and it's just all about timing. And again, you can always call them later too. I've made multiple sales after calling them, and they're not answering, and finally getting them on the phone, or they might respond to a text message. I'm glad you guys mentioned that because I forgot to talk about that on the phone. Not only calling, but text messaging is great too. And I used to not leave messages. Now I've started leaving messages. Matter of fact, one of the policies I sold yesterday, I was like $3,000 in premium, husband and wife, was a voice message I left, and she called me back. This was Monday when I was dialing, and we booked an appointment, and went in and replaced 2 other policies and got it set up. So it's like you try everything, right? So one of the things I'll do is everything works a little bit. So I'll dial through my leads maybe 2 times, and then I'll probably shoot text messages all the way through. And then next time I dial through, I'll probably leave a message on that 3rd dial instead of just hanging up. I'll just leave a message, and I'll just on a Facebook lead, I'll make it quick. Hey, Miss Catherine, this is Jermaine. I'm giving you a quick call about this form you filled out on Facebook for the state-regulated insurance program. You put your hobby down as horse riding. I just need to confirm a couple things so I can get this information out to you. Give me a quick call back. Gary leaves a hey and hangs up message. I leave a little bit more detailed than mine, so they know why I'm calling, and if it's
A lot of
something
people don't answer numbers they don't recognize, and they're like, if it's important to leave a message.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of people think.
True. Yeah. Some people think that way, and
What about text
especially this morning.
messages?
Yeah.
Short and sweet,
Yeah.
140 characters?
I don't know about that, but short. I mean, I'll tell you what I send for a text message, and you can tell me if it's 140 characters, Mr. Twitter. Just messing with you, John.
Mess away.
Yeah, mess away. So my text message might be over 140 characters, but I just say, hey, John, this is Jermaine at the Benefits Center. We've been trying to reach you. I'm the field underwriter that is assigned to get back to you. Oh, I'm sorry, that is required to get back to you about the state, affordable state-regulated life insurance. You requested information you requested on Facebook, along with checking your eligibility for the programs. You put your favorite hobby down as water skiing. Sorry for the delay in getting back to you. They have me out in your area tomorrow to service other families. It takes a few minutes to go through the information. Have an opening between 10 to 11, 11 to 12, 12 to 1, which time works best for you. So it's a little bit longer, but it works. I stole this from Shaniqua. Shout out Shaniqua. And I booked appointments with that.
Can you post that in the?
Yeah, we have. It's in there, but I'll repost it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm not in
And then we could drop it in the Facebook. Ben, you have a copy of that?
Yeah, I got a copy of it.
Yeah, I'll text it.
Yeah, we'll send it to the
Drop
group.
it in
We'll
the
send
Drop
to
it
the
into
group.
the Facebook group, yeah. Or Ben can do that for me when you get a chance.
Yeah, I'll do it when we're done.
All right.
Yeah.
After I've dialed them too many times. Or you define what too many is. I don't think there's really too many. But yeah, if I'm calling them multiple times, or if I'm strapped on time for dialing and I want to get in touch with them, the more contacts, the better.
So I know there's no set one way or another, but for certain people, such as myself, I work better in a framework. So would you say, at least as a starting point. Let's say you start dialing at 8 in the morning. You have a set of 20 leads. So you dial each 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Till you get to the bottom of the 20, or however many times you choose in your first round.
Yeah.
By that time, it's probably 30, 40 minutes maybe have gone by because you actually talked to somebody or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So that counts as 1 round.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then 9 o'clock or whatever time it is when you got to the bottom of that,
Go back
the
to-
same set again, and that counts as 2 rounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you would say in a day, obviously you're gonna dial them till you get them,
Yeah.
but for sake of knowing, okay, when's a good idea to text them, obviously you can
After
text them
third-
whenever you
third
want,
round.
but
After the
so
third
you
round.
dial them essentially dial them 9 times, then you'll send them a
Essentially.
text.
Yeah, and then I'll fuck you a text, voice message. Then it's like, all right, alternate strategy. You know, after 9 times, I haven't picked up the phone.
And then after that,
Door
No,
knock.
door knock.
door knock.
Yeah, if I don't have enough appointments, then I'm definitely door knocking. Or if I get a cancellation, but I'll have my stack of leads. I always have my leads with me, and that's, you know, if I'm in the area and Roy cancels my appointment, or he tortures me on the couch, or he's, you know, saying something crazy, you know, going to door knocking before I get to the next one. So, does that make sense?
Yeah, and do you
Yeah.
vary like on your second, third, or fourth round, or is it just what time you call them, or does it just depend on whenever you're calling?
Just
you
whatever I
call?
feel. There's no methods of madness on that. I don't think there's any secret strategy to it. It's just the end game is get in touch with the client, whatever means necessary. So if you want to text them the second round and then call them again the third round and whatever, mix it up, whatever, it's just get in touch with the
There's
client.
no one way.
Yeah, there's no one way, but you kind of figure out what formula works for you and try different formulas. Maybe you'll call them the first round, text them second round, call them again the third round, fourth round you leave a message when you dial them, you know, whatever the case may be. Mix and match, get in touch, or get in their face in a good way.
So some of these have an email
Oh,
address?
sorry, next. Go ahead. Some of
Final
these-
expense.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the final expense do have an email address, so you can email them. I've not tried it. I don't have time
Has
for
anybody
email, man.
done that?
Text is a lot easier. I'm on my phone. The email takes time. I mean, unless you got plenty of time and no appointments. But I'm just trying to dial through, you know. But email is another avenue. Has anybody had success getting in touch with anybody via email? You have? Okay.
When I do
So-
a cut and paste, I got the
Okay, so
verbiage,
you got
I
it.
just copy right into it.
Gotcha.
Blind
Okay.
copy everybody on, like, all the emails, but also.
And blind copy?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay,
I
that's
feel like people
interesting.
associate emails with getting like business done.
Yeah. Yeah, try it. Try it. It doesn't hurt. If it works, keep doing it. If it doesn't work, stop.
I think.
No, that's the truth. That's the truth to anything. You know what I mean? Yeah.
When you text, are you always sending the same times, or do you change the times for every single text?
No, at the same times.
And
So that's why I have 3 different times, and I'm always texting like that. I run in Gwinnett County, so I could shoot wherever I need to in
Do
that
you
time.
ever get like overlapping, like 2 people will tell you at the same time, and then?
Surprisingly, I have not. That's weird, but that's a good question. If you do, you got 2 appointments. Woo! You see one after the other and let them know, hey, I might be running behind. So I'd rather have that problem than no appointments, you know. So I'm not, but I haven't had that happen that I can recall. So.
Talking about emails, I thought of something, and I don't know if anybody ever thought of it or tried it. You know, like they have drip campaigns, like they have when you collect all these, I have, 500 leads now from Facebook.
Yeah.
400 of them been bought.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I have 400 emails. Is there any way we can do like a drip campaign, 1 email every week?
I can.
Can you see that?
We can talk.
We can talk about
Yeah.
that.
There you go.
Because if you pick up 1 policy a week from those emails,
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure. As
Yeah,
long as,
let's
it,
talk.
as long as it's not going to be time consuming, man. 'Cause,
No,
you know,
no, those are
but yeah,
automatic.
if
I
you
gotta just set up
automate
the
something,
campaign,
there you go.
dripping leading on.
Leticia.
Yeah, I was just saying, I haven't done this personally, but I've heard other trainers train about actually Facebooking people and then send them
There you go.
messengers.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, try
send
that
them
today.
messages through Facebook. Like,
Oh.
actual
Yeah,
Facebook,
yeah, because they have a Facebook
friend
account,
request
so
them and send them a message.
exactly. There you go. That's
That's a good
another
idea.
route too.
Yeah, I haven't tried it.
Yeah. All right. So that's back on phone script, and then let's jump into the in-home, and we'll wrap it up with EQ. We're at about 3 o'clock almost. So my in-home, again, I'm putting this disclaimer out there, giving you how I do it. Take it, leave it, whatever you want to do. So with my English, in-home, there's really 5 components that I think are most important in my in-home. Number one is identifying why they need it. Number two is how much they need, identify that. Number three is identify their budget. Number four is identify what kind of account they have.
Oh, hold on, man.
You gotta write faster, man. It's
Why
being
they need
recorded.
it, how
Yeah,
much?
it's being recorded. So number one, why they need it.
There you go.
Number two, how much they need. Number three, what's their budget. Number four, what account they have. Bank account meaning. And then number five, the fifth component is dig in on that need that you talked about in number one. That's kind of how I put it, and I'll kind of go through it with you so you can have an understanding. Making sure I hit on those 5 things and identifying those 5 things is what helps me with closing my appointments. And I'll just kind of walk you through it. So, you know, I get in the house and I just find a quick point of conversation, you know, like a minute or two, you know, if they've got a cat, oh, what kind of cat is that? How long have you had a cat? You know, I always talk about cats. You go in a lot of homes with cats. And so, Leticia, why are you shaking your head? Like, yeah, you're thinking, right? Like, yep.
Even if you don't like cats.
Yeah, you love a cat. Oh, that's a
Yeah, I
beautiful
love
cat.
cats,
Keep it where it's
Yeah.
I love cats.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, you just find some rapport. Oh yeah, he's gonna be great. I know it. You just find some area to create rapport. You know, oh, you guys are originally from Georgia. That's always a good conversation that everybody can have because not many people are from Georgia, and if they are, they're very proud that they're from Georgia. Yeah.
I always say,
Yeah, right? Grady baby? Yeah, that's it. So, but either way, whatever, some quick rapport, get them to smile and know you're a human. And then I'm going right to business. I don't build a lot of rapport. I'm not trying to get their family history at that point. Later on, as I'm doing my application, I'll ask questions. And it's good to be good at multitasking in some cases. So as you're doing the application, you can establish a rapport and create a client for life or a friend for life, as one of my clients told me. No, I don't like that word client. Let's say friend. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're my friend. Sign here. But
Sign here, friend.
yeah, I'm your friend. My name's Jermaine. I'm your friend. So my in-home.
Be a friend for $87.
I'm a cheap friend. I'm a cheap. Only $87. Yeah, right. So either way, so once I get that out of the way, it's like, hey, Ron. So most of my clients, or I'm sitting. This was Ron and Jeanette. So it's like, hey, so Ron and Jeanette. Most of my clients that fill this form out, they fill it out for 2 reasons. Either you've got some coverage in place, and you know it's not enough, you need more, or you have no coverage in place, and you know you need some because you don't want to burden anybody when you die. Which one is it? And I just keep it that simple. Some people say that there's a third option. That's fine. Feel free to use that. It all falls into those 2 categories, in my opinion. You either got some, need more because it's not enough, or you have none and you need some because you know you don't want to burden anybody when you die. And they'll tell me which one. So that's where I'm identifying the need up front. We just sat down. You and I both know you need it. John uses, hey, looks like you need some insurance, huh? I'll start with that, like I did with Ron. And I was like, hey, we were sitting down. I'm like, so you need some insurance, huh? He's like, yeah, as long as I can afford it. I'm like, perfect. So which one are you? Most of my clients either have some insurance and it's not enough, so they need more, or they have none and they know they need some because they don't want to burden anybody when they die. And he said, well, I've got some, but I don't think it's enough. And I was like, perfect, I can help you with that. And so at that point, when he said he had some, I went into what he has, and I'll get into that here in a little bit, but I'm gonna just pretend he had none. And my next question is, okay, so, and I'm always using most of my clients. You'll hear this throughout all the trainings that we do, and make sure you're plugging in the trainings, whether it's the live training calls or recorded training calls, but most of my clients, everybody wants to be included, everybody wants to be like everybody else. Everybody, well, what's most people, they don't know what to do. You're the licensed professional. You know, it's like if you go to the doctor, they are supposed to be telling you what you need to do. You tell them what your symptoms are, they're supposed to tell you what you need to do. So most of my clients are looking for either 10, 20, 10, 15, or 20,000. Ron, which one of those would you feel more comfortable with that meet the need that you have right now? 20,000, right? So yeah, and they'll identify one. They'll pick one, and then if they give me some random answer, I'll say, okay, so which one would be, more? And the most answer I'll get is outside of 10, 15, or 20 is, well, I'm not sure how much does a funeral cost. That's the most I'll get, and I'll say, yeah, about 12,000 is the average funeral. So most of my clients do 15, so they have enough, got a little left over in case the cost goes up or cover any other expenses. Does that sound about good for you? And they say, yeah, that should be fine. Most of them know, most of my clients, they know already how much. They're being inundated with commercials on TV, Mutual of Omaha, and everybody else is mailing them stuff to their home. So they're already thinking about it. They saw the ad. They've been getting all this advertising. It's like that drip campaign you talked about. They've been getting dripped on, and it's just a matter of you coming in and find out what fits their budget, how much they're looking for. So let's say he tells me, 15,000. Okay, great. And then I'll say, well, the other thing, most of my clients, Ron, they have an idea of what their budget is for this coverage, okay? So what they'll say to me, and I use a scenario, so I'll say, Ron, what my clients will say to me is, Jermaine, you know what, I'm on a fixed income, Social Security disability, or just Social Security with my pension, and it has to be somewhere between $50 and $60 a month. Would you be able to fit that in your budget, Ron, or is it a different number? So I'm already giving him a budget, and I'm getting him to agree to it or disagree with it, and then identify what his budget is. Does that make sense? So before I even move forward, this is third step in my process. So he's telling me what his budget is. We're going through it, and he was like $40, and if he says something ridiculous like 15, I'm like, Ron, you're 73, right? You know how insurance works. It's not going to be $15. And most of my clients are looking at least $50 to $60 at your age. You'd be able to fit that in your budget, right? And I'm getting a straight answer. I've had clients tell me, no, I can only fit $15. And I say, well, if the budget changed, let me know, and then I can see what I could do. But with $15 at your age, there's really nothing that we can get you. And they're either going to come to Jesus and realize they're being silly, or if that's the situation, I would love to help them, but I can't. And that's just me. Again, take it or leave it. I've walked out of appointments if they want to identify the budget. Because the other thing is, I've got plenty of clients to see. I'm not going to waste time if you're not serious about me helping you. I'm very serious about what I do. And if you're going to be ready and you're serious, I'm going to do my best to help you.
Do you leave them a card?
Leave them a what?
Your card when that happens? Like if you
Leave them a what? No, I don't leave a card. No, to answer your question. Yeah, I don't leave a card. Yeah, they probably got called 9 times. Oh, my number's on your phone. Call me when you're ready. So, so that's how I leave that one. But yeah, so I identify the budget, and then next thing I'll do is then I'll do my setup. So I know why he needs it. He's got none. I know how much he needs. He wants about 15, and I know what his budget is. And now I could set it up. Okay, Ron, well, here's how this works. First of all, I work with 15 different insurance companies, okay? I not only do burial insurance, I do mortgage protection, I do identity theft protection, I do regular life insurance for like your kids, their age, and I do retirement planning as well. So my job is, I've got this client worksheet that I've got to go through to be able to see what you're eligible for. I'm going to ask you some questions, and by the end, I'll know exactly what I can get you qualified for, which company will be able to give you the most amount of coverage for your budget. And then I'm going to show you 3 plans. We're going to pick the one that makes the most sense. We're going to apply and see if we can get you approved. Okay? The good news is these are non-medical. So nobody's coming to make you pee in a cup or pull your blood. They're simply going to do a quick scan on my tablet right here, and they'll be able to give me an instant decision that you're approved, or they may take 2 to 3 business days to verify your health history, and then they're going to approve the policy. Once it's approved, they're going to mail out the policy in about 3 days. 3 to 5 days, they'll mail out the policy, and they're also going to send a request to your bank for the first month's premium, so that way if you die, we could get the money to your beneficiary. So you'll need either a checking or savings account. Which one of those do you have? And I pause, and I wait for him to tell me. Okay? He's going to say checking or savings, or he's going to say, no, I've got a direct express card. I don't have a checking or savings account. So that way I know which direction I'm going to go. Is it going to be Trans or Prosperity, or is it going to be everybody else based on his health? Okay, you guys follow me so far?
Yep.
If you have a direct express card, for you guys who are new, it's where our senior clients get their Social Security direct deposited. It's like a debit card. Not all the carriers take it. Only 2 carriers, Prosperity and Transamerica, and AIG if they're sick. definitely sick. Okay, just to be clear, that's when we use AIG. And so that's how I know up front. So I'm not going through quoting them Americo and find out at the end they got a Direct Express card. Now I gotta go to something else. Really good.
Do you have those clients that just I don't like to give out my checking account number,
I don't get that, and I think it's because of just the way I explain things and how I'm clear and I explain them the process. And most of these clients know how insurance works. If I do get that, because I have in the past, I address it, and if we can't go past it, I get out. I move on to the next client. I'm not going to make a big deal. If it's going to be a big deal for you about protecting your family, then I can't help you. I'm sorry. Somebody might have a way to overcome that. But the other side of it too, now that we have Reliance Shields, a lot of agents use that whenever that comes up. If you're getting that, because at the end of the day, this comes down to your client being able to trust you. And once you get better at this, you get to the point where you can quickly establish trust. I mean, the way you walk into the house and tell them where to sit, which I didn't really go over, but just the way you go about what you're saying, they can tell that, okay, this guy's here to help me, he knows what he's doing. Sometimes when you're new, you're a little nervous, which is understandable, and that might, cause them to kind of question, can I trust this guy? And that's tend to be when they get uncomfortable, and, might not want to give you the social. But now with Reliance Shield, which is identity theft protection, if that ever comes up, you could be like, oh, that's great. We have a company that actually provides identity theft protection, and we include that with our plan, so that way if somebody gets your information and tries to take your money, you could get reimbursed, and there goes that objection. So what's the real objection now? We address that. So, but I typically don't get that. Sam?
I say if you want it to be direct, you want it to be monthly automatic draft from your bank account, just because some people tell I don't want to do that, they just need to send me a bill. So if you get to the hospital, get sick, you go to the hospital, and you're in the hospital for 2-3 months, this is the time where you need to make sure that your life insurance is being paid.
Yeah.
So, you don't want it to lapse when you're sick. Does that make sense? They say 100% say yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get your bills with the direct.
Yeah, and I just let them know, hey, all the insurance companies do it auto debit, so that way they can pay out if you're gonna die. There's no issues about your payment getting lost in the mail. I don't get that one much either. So, but if you do, that's a great way to approach it. Charles, you got a question?
You said the 3 carriers that take Direct Express or
Prosperity, Transamerica, and AIG. Yeah, Direct Express card. So I established that, what account he has, he tells me, and I say, once he tells me, I'm like, okay, great, and that all makes sense, right? I'm getting his agreement with how I established the process, that we're gonna go through this client worksheet, and that we're gonna ask some questions, figure out which plans will fit, and see what we can do to get them approved. He already knows we're gonna need his account information, and that we can get an instant decision, that type of stuff. And once I got an agreement, or if I have an objection, I address it right then and there in that section. So that's what I was talking about, hold on, Chase, about how we're proactive about addressing everything that can come up. I don't want to do this today, we address it up front, we're gonna do this today to get you approved, and then I'll dig in more on it on the need. Yeah.
So when you're doing a policy replacement, do you bill lead as if they don't have anything at all? Like, how do you approach that?
No, I mean, typically if I'm replacing the policy, I'm either saving them money, getting them more benefits, so I'm just building value. Because they already have the need, they have insurance. So I touch on it, and that's there. The only time I replace a policy if I'm putting them in a better position. So whatever that may be, if I'm saving them money, if I'm getting them more benefits for what they're paying, I'm adding coverage, and we're just gonna do one plan instead of having 2 policies.
Because I was kind of running into that, like, when I'm trying to build need, and I'm like, well, I kind of put myself in a position where all I can do is, if I can save you money, that's it, I gotta leave, which I guess it is what it is, but I was just wondering, was there anything else to be done there? Because I'm like, kind of was coming up short on digging for how to establish the need when they already had insurance.
Well, if they already have insurance and they called you over, they obviously want more. So there is a need. And so they would say in that first part, oh, I have a little bit, but it's not enough. And that's why you're here, basically, is what they're saying when I ask them that question. So that's why they fill out the form. They have that need for more. So I don't have to put myself into just saving money. I tend to use a terminology Okay, great. Let's see if we can better your position. You know, whether that be saving you some money to get you the more coverage like what you're looking for, whatever it may be. And then I just approach it that way. But yeah, don't corner yourself into having to save you money. Because depending on what the policy is, it definitely not before you look at the policy. Because if it's a policy that they got 20 years ago and it's a good policy that you're not going to replace because the rates are different, then you don't want to corner yourself into saving money. Does that answer your question?
In home, okay, are you writing down all the prescriptions on the form?
Sometimes I do. When I got started, I did, but now I know most of them, so I could just put, it's like abbreviated notes.
Yeah, the applications don't actually ask for the prescriptions themselves.
No.
For the MIB.
Yeah.
Well, it comes in through the.
Yeah, but
so-
you-
So what are you looking for with the prescription?
With the prescriptions, especially if you're new, yeah, go ahead. With the prescription, especially if you're new, you're writing those down. So when you call your manager, you can tell them exactly what the client has prescribed. So if you're new, yeah, write down all the prescriptions.
Okay.
Yeah, and the conditions and.
So you're looking for a number of prescriptions to know which carrier?
Exactly. The prescriptions tell you what carrier. So that's the underwriting, right? And that's one of the things too that as agents we're field underwriters, so we got to get good at field underwriting. And as you're calling and you're new, you got to be making a mental note or a physical note of, okay, so when I called Jermaine and the guy had this, that, and the other, he said go with this. So if I come across this again, that means I could go with this. And that's how you kind of learn. That's the purpose of jotting down the prescriptions. And that way you'll know how to handle different cases. You got to talk a little louder, the AC up here.
Oh, sorry. I guess you kind of also get into conditions and prescriptions to kind of let the client realize if they're not going to help you, this is not really definitely not going to be easy to watch them work.
Not for me necessarily. I think if they're not healthy, they know they're not healthy, and they're praying you can help them. So that's never an issue. The whole purpose of the prescription is so I can do my job of field underwriting and finding the carrier that's going to get them qualified as quickly as possible with day one benefit. So that's the sole purpose of finding out the prescription. So, I mean, my clients that are not healthy, they already know. So I don't have to, they've probably already been declined by somebody else, or they've gotten a graded policy and they're wanting to add more coverage because they couldn't get any from somewhere else or whatever the case may be. So that's never really an issue for me. Yeah.
Okay, how old the policy? How old you consider a policy to be replaceable? Like a 5-year-old policy? Or 10-year policy?
Day-old policy. A day-old policy. Yeah. They could have gotten it that morning. If it's not the best fit for the client, I'm putting them in a better position. There's no age restrictions. Why are you laughing with this?
No, I mean,
yeah. No. That's a good question though.
It could be a 1-year-old, 3, 5-year-old say no policy.
No, the bottom line is, can I put the client in a better position? Okay, and if I can, then yes. And there's different, I guess, definitions of that, if you will. Typically, I'm trying to see if I could save them some money on what they've got. I'm trying to see if I could get them more coverage. Yeah, for less money, exactly. You got it. You're gonna be great. But yeah, it doesn't matter when they got the policy. And then the other thing, since we're on that, I'll pause for that real quick. Like with this couple, and it's important to call the carriers. So this guy thought he had a $40,000 policy, and thankfully he filled out the form. Because when I got there, he told me, yeah, we have some, but it's not enough. And he said $20,000. In my head, I'm like, $20,000? I don't know what you're trying to do to get married, bro. Because $20,000 is typically on the high end for most of my clients. He's 73, but I dug in and I'm like, all right. So how much are you paying on that $40,000 policy? He said $20,000 for him, $20,000 for his wife. So how much are you paying? $17.80. 73-year-old. How long ago did you get that policy? Yeah, I got it when I was in my 50s. I'm like, but still, $17 for $20,000. And when does it expire? Oh, it never expires. Huh, okay. So, Ron, most of my clients, when they have policies, what I see a lot is either especially when they're paying so little for their policy, either they've got an accidental policy, which means it won't pay out if they die of natural causes, and you're 73, I'm sure you'd agree you're more likely to die of natural cause than an accident, right? Yeah. Okay. Either that, or they have a policy that's going to expire when they're age 80, and you're 73, so that's like 7 years, right? And You know, you don't want to be in a position where you're outliving your policy. And so let's do this. Go ahead and grab that policy so we could, you know, look at what exactly it is. And he got the policy, and right there across the face of the policy, accidental death and dismemberment policy. And I said, do you see that? That's an accidental policy. But let's call the company. Let's just verify. And so we got the company on the phone. 2 companies later, because they sold to another company and all that good stuff, they, you know, broke it to him. Yeah, it's a family coverage, $40,000 accidental death. So it covers you, your wife, and any legal children. And if you die of an accident. And I asked the lady that like 3 times. Like, so you mean, like, if he has a heart attack next week, this won't pay out? No, it's accident. It's covered accident. And I was like, so if he just goes to sleep and doesn't wake up, I'm like killing the guy.
Say no to everything.
Yeah. So and then I'm like, okay, well, thanks for letting us know. Can you send a copy of the policy to him, please? And, you know, I'm being, you know, helpful. And so we get off the phone. I'm like, did you know that? He's like, no, I thought it was covered me just if I die. That's what the bank told me when I got it. I'm like, oh, you got it through your bank. Okay. Yeah. He's like, yeah, they told me it was life insurance. I'm like, yeah, if you die, if you lose your life in a car accident, it's life insurance. But if it's natural causes, you got nothing. He's like, yeah, no, we need to cancel that. I'm like, yeah, we do. So either way, we end up replacing it.
He's
The
been paying
policy.
for 20 years.
He's been paying since he was 50, so 23 years. $17. He's like, man, I wish I'd known that. I would have canceled it a long time ago. So when these people tell you I already have a policy on the phone, please feel free. Sometimes I'll say, hey, you know what, Felipe, a lot of my clients have policies. Sometimes it's an accidental policy. Sometimes it's one of those that's expiring at age 80. I'm going to be over there anyway. I can swing by between 9 and 9:30. Let me at least look and make sure you have what you think you have. And I book an appointment anyway, because there's a lot of clients. My next appointment, not the next appointment, but my last appointment last night was somebody that had a graded policy that they got something in the mail. They know they needed insurance because they had none, and they filled it out, and it was a graded policy. So she just got it in January. So she's 7 months in, and if she died, she'd get a nice little savings account, but not the actual. And she was healthy enough to qualify. I got her instantly approved in the home. So always, 1, pull out the policies. Always 2, whether it's on the phone, strive to get that appointment booked to just verify what they have, because a lot of them just get insurance and they don't know what they have. I mean, my client, he hadn't looked at the policy, the one with the accidental death benefit. He just listened to what the bank told him, and then the client later that day, when I said, go ahead, grab those policies, both envelopes were unopened, and as soon as she handed them to me, I'm like, oh man, I don't like seeing this at all. I always tell my clients to open up their policies and see what they have, because you never know what you got in the mail. But you had a question, Dave? Typically, approval is final 99% of the time, unless a client has lied and they find something else on the medical record. But 99% of the time, if you're getting an approval instantly with Americo on like Eagle Premier, that's a final decision. So that's how that works. So, all right, back to the in-home. Oh, Sam.
Real quick. No, it doesn't happen to me very often now, but sometimes they just feel like, it's their big secrets. They don't want to pull their policy out because, whatever reason they give me, or, it's under some pile, or it's in the safe deposit box, or whatever.
They don't trust you.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So if you can't see the policy, how do you break it down to them? Like,
Well, you
like this guy-
create the fear of loss, like I did. Hey, it might be expiring when you're 80. It might be accidental policy. There's a third one I can't think of right now. I'm having a mental block. But those are my main 2. Huh?
That's term.
Yeah. It might expire when you're 80. It might be an accidental policy, and if I remember it, I'll let you know. So normally, if they really don't know what they have, which is most cases they don't, that is a concern for them. And then you can ask them the name of the company, and if they say, oh, I'm not sure, okay, what's on your bank statement? Because they get charged every month for it. So we can go to the bank statement, and most of our clients who are seniors, I mean, this guy, he pulled out his folder with all his bank statements. Every month he gets a statement, he keeps it in a folder. So, and they look at it, they underline stuff and all of that stuff. So you can find the name of the company, call the company. Hey, I'm a friend of Ron. We're just making sure his insurance is up to date. We wanted to get some information. Ron, tell them who I am and give them permission to talk to me. And then I go at it asking questions. Oh, what kind of coverage is this? How much is it? What's he paying? And when does it expire? And I get them to tell me what's going on. And then he hears it directly from them, and then we know which direction we can go. If it's a solid policy, then we look at adding to it, or if they're a solid policy and they don't want to add any more, which I've come across sometimes, I said, you got a good policy, don't ever cancel this or make it lapse. And I'm on to my next appointment, probably 15 minutes in, I didn't waste my time. And they feel grateful, and that's a seed that I planted, so I get to the next house, the door's opened up, and they're selling one, so just doing my job. So, yeah. So, number 5, which took us forever to get to, is I dig in on the need. So we've already found out why he needs it, how much he needs, what his budget is, and what kind of bank account he has. Now I'm going to go through my client worksheet, and I'm getting the, this is kind of how it's set up here for those of you who are new. Getting the name, date of birth and age, spouse's name, date of birth and age. And I'm asking him, if it's somebody that's single, I'm asking, so, in this case, Mark, who's the person that's picking up the pieces and going to be laying you to rest when that day comes, and would be responsible for that bill? And he'll tell me, my son, my daughter, whomever it is. And then I kind of dig in on that. That's number 5. You don't want to just ask that question, okay, now I know the beneficiary, let me move on to the rest of my client worksheet. How much do you make, Mark? What do you take for prescriptions? No. You want to plant there, and you want to make sure the fries are done. And there's a lot of different questions that I've heard about kind of digging in on that need. I'll just tell you a couple of them that I use that I've stolen case from other agents. The first one that comes to mind is, hey, Mark, walk me through this. If I was a day late, you died yesterday, what would Sally have to do in order to get you buried? I mean, is she in the position financially where she could come up with $10,000 or $15,000 to go ahead and get you buried? And I shut up and I listen. And I let him verbalize it. Now he's feeling it, the emotions of it. He's thinking through it, processing it, and he's telling me, no, I don't think so. And is Sally here locally? Would she have to fly in from somewhere to go ahead and get that covered? And then, are you looking at a funeral or are you looking at a cremation? Which one do you think you'd want to have happen? And he'll tell me, if it's a funeral, okay, so that's about $12,000 that she got to cover, service and everything like that. Okay, and then cremation, okay, you probably could get the cremation and everything done for about $3,000. Are you like some of my clients that you want your ashes taken down to Florida or somewhere else and spread somewhere? And I'm just kind of identifying premium is what I'm really doing. I'm asking questions, identifying the need, and letting them understand that this stuff costs you, which they know, but I'm really I call it pouring salt in the wound. It's kind of a bad imagery, but it works. And just digging in on that and asking them. And a lot of the times, they'll know, hey, yeah, Sally's a single mom and she's got kids and she can't afford to do anything. And they'll give you the story and you listen. Don't just ask questions to ask questions. Ask questions to get the answer, and then you dig in a little bit more. And when you think you're done, ask another question. I'll get down to the health question. And while I'm asking the health question, I'm also listening and I'm also thinking, what other question could I have asked and digging on the need? I'll go back and I'll be like, hey, Mark, by the way, with Sally, and I'll ask another question. Again, I'm kind of just driving in, digging in on that need. It's very important to do that. And what you're doing is you're creating urgency. And you're making sure that that need is exposed. And when you provide that solution, which is what we do, we don't sell, we provide solution. They already know, man, I got a serious problem. Yeah, that solution right there, that one in the middle, that's the one I need. Okay? So that's just kind of how I do it. And if it's a spouse, that's even easier to me because they're right there, and I can ask, Jeanette, so God forbid Ron would have died yesterday. What would today look like for you? What would you have to do? Do you have any money in savings and those type of questions? Where would you be getting that $15,000 from? Is there anybody that can help you? And she might say yes. I say, do you want to have to burden them, with getting him taken care of, or would you rather have a policy in place that's going to pay you so you don't have to ask anybody for any money? It's questions like those where you're digging in on the need, and it's really putting yourself in a position where you kind of step into their shoes, and what would you need to know if you were in that position? Ask them those questions and pretend like this guy just died, this lady just died. You know, how are we going to take care of this? Once you've got that established, and you could get, over time, you get a good sense, you could feel, man, all right, I got it. They understand. Then I'll move on and I'll say, okay, Mark, I'm gonna just run through some quick health questions here with you. And I always just go with the 4 majors first. Any heart attack, cancer, diabetes, stroke, ever. And if yes, when, what were you prescribed? Okay. Have you been hospitalized in the last 5 to 10 years? If yes, when, why? What were you prescribed? Anything for blood pressure, anything for pain management prescription-wise. You take anything for anxiety or depression. Are you a smoker, a non-smoker? Any major organ issues ever, liver, lung, kidney, that type of stuff. And I'm getting their answers, and anything they say yes to, when it was, what you were prescribed, even if you didn't take it, tell me it all. And then sometimes I'll preface this and say, hey, the insurance companies, they're gonna see everything, Ron. So just make sure, you do your best to remember everything. That way we don't end up applying for something that's not gonna get approved because something pops up. So that way they know I'm just trying to help them and get through it. And so once I do all of that, I found out what they take. If you're new and you don't know, obviously because you're brand new, what to prescribe, so to speak, if you're using that doctor analogy, then you're calling in the home, you're calling your manager, and not on speakerphone. So let's preface that, don't call on speakerphone because you might lose a client. And all I say to the client is, hey Ron, you know what, I'm gonna give my product specialist a quick call, or we got an internal underwriter. I just want to cross-check these medications, make sure I'm putting you in the best position possible. But just give me a second. If there's anything you need to do, it'll probably take me about 2 to 3 minutes, and then I'm dialing, whoever, your manager, whoever, the agent hotline. Call somebody, okay, and get some help. And when you call, make sure you've asked all these questions and you're thorough. Don't call and then I'm like, okay, how old is he? Oh, Ron, how old are you? No, you should have already done your job. You're not doing your job. You should be fired. Do your job. Find out their age, all of that information. And so when you call, the call goes like this. Hey Jermaine, I'm sitting with Ron. He's 73 years young. We're trying to get him about $15,000 in coverage to cover his burial so that his daughter Sally is not burdened with the cost of it. He really doesn't want her to have to come out of pocket to pay for it and leave a burden when he dies. Set him up. Come on, guys. So he's listening like, yeah, that's what I want. That's what I want. And so here's what he takes for prescription. He had a heart attack 15 years ago. The doctor prescribed him some carvedilol, and then you just kind of go through what he's taken. And he's a non-smoker. I just want to see, what you think would be the best position to make sure that's taken care of, and Sally doesn't have to worry about anything when he dies. You shut up and you listen. And then when we make a recommendation, we ask the question if you need to, and then you hang up the phone. Okay, Ron, great news. I know exactly what we need to do here. I'm gonna put these plans together. Give me just another minute, and then we can pick whichever one's the best fit. So, Sam.
Did you come back to people who say, I sat with a couple before and their daughter was living with them? Oh, she's on our bank account. We already have $15,000 each in our bank account. We have money set aside for that. We don't need that.
Then why am I here? You filled out the form.
I don't know. The lady was like, I don't know why I filled it out. I don't know. It could have been a mistake.
Okay. Then I'll either try to push a little bit more, or I'll move to the next appointment.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's no comeback.
Yeah. I mean, some people are good at rebuttals and comebacks and all that good stuff. I'm good at booking enough appointments, so I don't have to be good at that stuff. I'm sorry. I mean, you fill out a form, and I'm here to help you. And so, what's the need? I'm asking these questions. If I can't establish it, you're playing games with me, I'm gone. I'm going to the next appointment, or I'm going to the next 5 door knocks that I haven't been able to get on the phone because one of them might be home and I can sell them a policy. So that's just my approach. Some people might do it differently and have some kind of salesy technique to get around that. I'm not that guy.
I think even if you do that, you'll have a chargeback.
Yeah, so I just focus on helping the people that are ready for me to help. The most of my sales, when I get there and ask those questions, they flow through the process. It's like a filter, guys. You're filtering from the leads to the phone, whether it's through door knock into the in-home, you're filtering to a sale. So if they opt out of the filter, all right, good luck, enjoy life. Hope you got some coverage. Let me go back to the ones that are going through my filter. That's just my process. I focus on what I can control, how many people I'm putting through the filter, and how many people I'm getting through the filter. If you want to jump out of the filter, all right, later. I got others that I need to attend to, and that comes with having enough leads. And if you take that approach, even when you're just getting started, this is so much easier, so much stress-free when you look at it that way, instead of trying to focus on the little ones that kind of step outside of the process and what can I do to, you know, if I had this one client, and now I'm not worried about that one client that was being silly. I'm focused on the other 10 clients that I can go ahead and help. So, and then from there, it's just showing them 3 options. I do top-down selling, so you know, based on the client's budget, you kind of know what you want to show them. You can either show them, you know, depending on their budget, you show them the max, and then you work your way down. So you know, start at 30,000, 25, 20, or you can start at 10, 20, 15, and 10, which is typically like where I'm at, 20, 15, and 10. And if I need to go lower based on budget, then I do. If I need to go higher because they want more, which is rare, I do. You know, most people stay within that range. So I show them 3 options. And I don't show them quotes. I don't use that word. Plans. So plan A, plan B, plan C. Which one of these plans is going to give you the peace of mind that you wanted to have, Ron, when you fill this out on Facebook, so that Sally's not burdened? And I'll let him pick. Okay? So I know we're at 3:30. Let me wrap. Any questions with this? I'm going to just talk about emotional quotient real quick. But any questions on in-home? Hope that helped. Did that help? Question?
When you convert a policy,
Yeah.
aren't you supposed to send something in to the renewal policy?
Oh, you mean when you replace a policy? Yeah, on most of the e-apps, you check yes, I'm replacing a policy, and you fill out the current policy information. They'll send a notice, but then I also have my clients call and cancel their current policy themselves instead of waiting on a notice, so there's no confusion and they're not getting double charged for a policy, that type of stuff. So, sometimes I'll do the phone call with them. You know, it's just a quick phone call and help them cancel it. Some of them are comfortable canceling on their own. They've canceled policies before. Oh yeah, don't cancel until you get approved. You never want to leave the client without coverage. So, yes. Talk a little bit louder for me because of the AC. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. So I'm doing the e-app with Americo Eagle. All right, Ron, pick that plan, perfect. I just need your driver's license. That way I could verify your ID, make sure I have it spelled correctly and everything like that. Go ahead and grab that real quick. Most of the time it's in his back pocket or whatever. He pulls it out and puts it on the table. If they get up, which means they don't have it on them, I'm saying, okay, and also grab your checkbook because we'll need that account information. But if they're sitting down, I just take the license, I start my application, start putting it through, you know how America works, first page, and your information, client information. And then I'm trying to think through the application. When it comes to Social Security number, which is on that second page, I just say, okay, Ron, like I told you, they're going to do a medical background check based on your Social Security number. What's that? And my finger's already ready to type. I'm not even looking at him. I'm just doing my job. Yeah, Ron. Yeah, what's your Social Security number? Yeah, you know. Yeah, I'd never get that because I set them up front. They know, and I tell them, hey, they're going to check your medical background based on your Social Security number. What's that? And then bam, 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 put that in. Go through next page. Okay, Ron, this page is to authorize them to do the medical background check. Go ahead and sign here. And I don't have them read it. I just say sign here. I have the signature pulled up. They sign it. And then we move on, and I'm checking off the underwriting questions. I've already asked them health questions, so I know what their health is. So I'm just checking off no. If there's something that I'm not sure about, I ask them and I move forward. And then once I get to the beneficiary page, I'm like, okay, I'm on the page that we need the beneficiary information. What's Sally's date of birth and her last name? So I already asked them up front what her name is. And sometimes I'll even ask the date of birth up front. So I just put, okay, I got Sally's information here. Just make sure this is right. And I always have them verify it, right? And so got the beneficiary information. And then the next page is the payment page. So I say, okay, Ron, we're on the page where they need the account information. Like I told you, 2 to 3 days they're going to get this policy mailed out to you, and they'll send a request to your bank for the first month's premium. All they need is just a route and an account number. You have your checkbook or you have that memorized. Just like that. And then they'll tell me, no, I don't remember that. Let me get my check. Okay, go ahead. I'll wait. And then I just wait and then I put it
They
in.
do want to stop you right there and say why are not giving you information.
No, because I tell them up front that we're going to need it.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't get that issue.
Okay.
I don't know.
Start the app until I have the license and.
Yeah, I nobody goes started
Yeah.
or anything like that.
The banking information, yeah. So yeah, you could get it up front. So yeah, we're gonna need you to tell them when you get licensed, you need license and banking information. Go ahead and grab your license and your checkbook. You can do it that way too.
But can you
So
repeat
they
how
know.
you do it one more time?
So on that page, I just let them know, okay, Ron, so on this page, this is where we need the banking information. Like I explained to you, 2 to 3 days, they're gonna mail out the policy. 2 to 3 days, they're gonna send a request to your bank for the first month's premium. All they need is just a route and an account number, okay, small, that's all they need. And you have that, you have your checkbook with you, or you have that information memorized? It's one or two. You have it or you have it memorized? Oh no, let me go ahead and grab that.
What can we say to them if they're concerned about like the security of their computer or iPad or whatever?
I mean, I don't get that, but if I did, I would just say, hey, you see here, this is Americo's portal. They've got more money than you and I combined, so they definitely protect your information. These are all A-rated companies, and this is a secure portal that we put your information in. And if you need to, we got identity theft protection, so if something does happen, we can get your money back, okay? So, yeah, include Reliance Shield
They
in there.
spend millions of dollars every year on the security of their website.
Yeah, which they do. So that's that. And then I just wrap up the application with the signature. And once they're approved, I do complete the coverage information worksheet that's on the FFL New Agent website. Just summarizing the coverage, sign it, leave that with them. And I've got my client worksheet. And I'll leave a brochure in that, from the Americo with them, and a final wishes planning guide, which you can get through the carriers as well. So, and my business card. I have a magnetic business card, so it just sticks to the side of the refrigerator, and I only leave that with clients. So, if I don't sell them, they don't get a business card. They get my number because it's in their phone, but they don't get a business card.
Do you ever leave the brochure for the Eagle Premier?
Yeah,
with
yeah.
them as well?
Yeah, so all the carriers have 3 folders and brochures. You can order those. Don't be the guy that's leaving brochures with everybody you don't sell insurance to. I never leave a brochure. If I'm not selling you anything, you get a piece of paper with the quotes we went over, the plans we went over. That's it. And my phone number is in your phone, because you're not going to call me back, so let's not waste time. And then, but once you're a client, you've got a folder, you've got the brochure, you've got the coverage information worksheet, the one-page worksheet. You've got my business card stuck to your refrigerator. You've got a final wishes planning guide, and I kind of flip through it with you and make sure you fill this out. This is important. Make sure Sally stress-free. She knows exactly what to do. You got my information on this page, that type of stuff. Yep, we got to wrap it. Thank you, Leticia. And then finally, we'll wrap. Emotional. Yeah, emotional quotient or emotional intelligence. I'll keep it real simple. With the definition, right, it's the ability to have a deep awareness of your own emotions and the emotions of others, and to use this awareness to guide your thinking and actions. So, making it layman's terms for us. Don't be so emotional. I mean, in this business, you'll have you have emotional highs and lows, right? Yeah, woo child. You'll have no sales. You'll have cancellations. You'll have big premium sales, and you're like, I'm on top of the world. And then the next appointment will slap you back to reality. You'll have cancellations and chargebacks. I mean, it's gonna be a roller coaster ride. As far as this business is concerned. And the way I picture it is like an athlete. If you're going to be at the top of your game as an athlete, you really got to be emotionally stable. So whether you're winning or losing, you're just focusing on what you could do better. That's the consistent factor in that situation. You look at a guy like Tom Brady, whether he's losing or winning, he's the same dude. He's executing. And the person who can maintain their emotional stability and be able to execute no matter what's coming at them in this business is a person that has the most success. emotional quotient or intelligence, however you want to call it, is even more important than intellectual intelligence, because it's a lot more difficult for you to maintain that stability of your emotions no matter what's coming at you, and being able to step back and analyze it and react with the right action. And then also being willing, the part of that is being willing to take responsibility for what's happening. Don't blame the lead vendor or the leads or your manager or this or that. It's something outside of you. What can I do different? There's obviously something that I can do different. What can I control? And focus on what you can control. You can control your emotions, as hard as it is, and you can read books or watch YouTube videos on how to do that, get your mentality right. But you've got to be able to be in a position where you can look long term. This is how I do it. I look long term. No matter what happens today, what's the end game? What's the end of the year going to look like? What's the next 5 years going to look like? Am I doing the things that are within my control to put me in the position where I want to be in 1 year, 2 years, 5 years? If I'm doing that, then whatever is happening now is just part of the process, and I just need to look at it as an obstacle. I'm gonna step over this one. I'm gonna step over this one because I'm going that direction.
Yes.
And don't freak out and call your manager. Well, yes, you can. If you're new, feel free, but understand. Yeah, we'll talk you off the ledge, but you gotta also a part of emotional intelligence is being able to have that self-motivation where you can be able to get yourself through a tough time. We're going to do our best to help you and talk you through it because we've all been through it. I mean, we're all emotional beings. That's how we're made. But you also have to have that internal drive and internal motivation to remain calm and look at the situation. So, you get a cancellation. It's not the end of the world. It's part of the process. About 15 to 20% of your business is going to cancel. Keep working on that 80%. Don't focus on the 15. Try to get the business back on the books, whatever you need to do. Leads won't pick up the phone. What can you control? What can I control? Oh, I could go door knock them. Let me try that. Always look at the solution and not be the person that has a problem for every solution. You know what I mean? Because that's how you're going to be successful in life. You'll get more out of life if you approach it from a positive mentality and a more stable emotional place than you will if you're negative or unstable emotionally. And that's so important because in what we do, there's so many factors coming at us that can kind of turn us in a different direction. So you've got to be focused. And if you got to get up early and meditate or whatever you need to do, pray, whatever you need to do to make sure your mind is right so that way you can be stable throughout the day no matter what you're facing. And that's life too. It might not just be in the business. It could be stuff happening in your family life. You know what I mean? It could be whatever it might be. It's at home for her. All right, guess I need to go into preaching. I'm pretty good at this.
Keep it going.
But no, I mean it's so serious because here's the reason why this is important. You'll quit on yourself if you don't have your mind right, and you'll quit on yourself right before you were going to have some success. There's been so many times in my business where I felt like quitting, right? And I was like, no, I got to stick it through because the end game is this. And quitting is not going to get me towards the end goal. And because I stayed consistent, next thing you know, it's a $3,000 premium in one house. Like, wow, I'm glad I didn't quit. And that doesn't mean that I won't feel like quitting again. It's okay to feel like you're going to quit, just don't quit. You know what I mean?